Hello everyone and welcome back to JAMnBreadGames. I am Jamie the Bread, and today I am back with another Battlefront video, and for this video I thought that I would discuss what multi-stage gameplay may look like. Now in my last video I talked about all of the new DLC and other things coming to Battlefront. If you want to see that video, then make sure to turn on annotations and click on the link. But one thing that I mentioned in that video was that there is something called multi-stage gameplay that is mentioned in the Battlefront news story. Under the words, there is a picture of X-Wings and TIE fighters having a dogfight above the surface and trenches of the Death Star. Underneath this picture, it states, "Test your skill by taking off and flying through a trench on the surface of the Death Star." Now, these three things may not be related to each other. In other portions of the story, the title, picture, and description seem to match up, while in other places, they do not seem to have any relevant relationship with each other. But for the purpose of this video, let's assume that they could be related to each other. So this brings up the question, what exactly is multi-stage gameplay? Well, let's go back to Battlefront 2 to begin with. Now, it may seem weird to bring up an entirely different game, especially an old one at that, but I believe that the new Battlefront game takes quite a few elements from the original Battlefront games. The most recent being the new Skirmish mode, which you can see a video on by clicking the link, by the way. Skirmish is pretty much a carbon copy of the original Battlefront's instant action mode. So speaking of Battlefront 2, in the game there were specific maps whose names began with the word space. For example, there was Space Kashyyyk and Space Yavin, which were maps that would obviously be in space. For these maps there are two game modes, Capture the Flag and Assault. Capture the Flag was pretty straightforward, it was just capturing the flag in space. But the gameplay in Assault would change from the normal Battlefront game types, where you either fought for control of control points or captured a flag. In Assault, you would actually fight for the destruction of the enemy team's capital ship. These matches would begin with you starting in the hangar of your Star Destroyer, where you can jump into a ship and begin battling outside. Or you could stay inside of your own capital ship and main a turret which you could use to fire on the opposing Star Destroyer or incoming ships. But if you took a ship outside into space, you would need to begin assaulting the enemy's Star Destroyer while at the same time fighting off their own starfighters. Now, this may sound pretty simple and maybe even a bit boring. I mean, basic bombing runs on the ship aren't too entertaining to play or watch, but there was a very cool feature that was in this mode where you could actually board the enemy Star Destroyer. You would have to pilot your fighter past the enemy starfighters, past the destroyer's turrets, and then land safely inside of the ship's hangar. You could either board the ship alone in a fast-moving starfighter or try to bring in a group and establish a spawn point with a slower-moving gunship. Each vehicle had its own set of risks and rewards. Once inside, the objective would be the same, where you would need to destroy the ship's components such as the shield generator or the engines. Now, why would you even board the ship? It would be easier to just bomb the enemy vessel from space, but it would also be a lot slower. Another reason to board the vessel would be that it takes a lot less time to blow up the internal components from the inside. That is, of course, if you can stay alive long enough. Also, some of the components are only inside or only outside of the ship. Again, there are different risks and rewards to whichever playstyle you chose. Frankly, attacking the ship from the inside was the best and fastest way to go, but it was a lot riskier as well. So anyway, if you could do all of these things while also defending your own vessel at the same time, you could win the match and the game would be over. Now, why am I even mentioning all of this? Well, I think that multi-stage gameplay could be something like this. We know that there would be gameplay outside and inside of the Death Star, but what if they are all in the same match rather than separate modes? If we look at the name multi-stage or multiple stages to lengthen it, it implies that obviously there are multiple stages to the gameplay. So what if one stage is fighting outside of the Death Star in a starfighter, while another stage has you fighting inside with your boots on the ground? Or what if they are going on at the same time? Like there could be a space battle going on as there's a land battle. I mean, I would rather put my money on first fighting outside and then fighting inside. I feel that this idea links up more with the term multi-stage, and I think it would be a bit more realistic and, probably would run smoother on the servers for the game. Now, of course, I could be wrong, but it is an interesting concept and one that I think would be a lot of fun to play. I think something like this would really give you that Star Wars experience and would be highly entertaining if done right. We are seeing new modes with multiple objectives such as Generator Defense in the Bespin DLC, and DICE have actually released something similar to what I'm discussing in Battlefield 4. So in BF4, there was a mode released as DLC called Carrier Assault. The main objectives, which were stated in the loading screen, were to capture the different missile launchers on the map. Once captured, they will begin firing on the enemy's carrier. Once the carrier has lost about half of its health, it will open up and you will be able to board the ship. Once boarded, you need to destroy the two different objectives inside of the vessel in order to win. But of course, the enemy's trying to do the same thing at the same time. So you have to defend your own carrier at the same time. The premise of this game mode is really cool and has a very cinematic feel. From my personal experience playing the mode, it felt a bit standard. I felt that capturing the missile launchers felt too much like Conquest, while boarding the enemy vessel felt too much like Rush. I mean, it's interesting to mix these two together, but I feel like they just didn't really work that well together. Also, in the games that I played, once a vessel was boarded, it was destroyed in a matter of minutes. I mean, it felt like seconds, honestly. But boarding the vessel it just felt a bit rushed, while capturing the missile launchers felt a bit drawn out and a bit more boring. I think that Battlefront does this better in Turning Point and other modes where it gives you time to set up a defense. If a mode like Carrier Assault is introduced into Battlefront, I hope that there will be a more cinematic Star Wars feel to it and that the pacing can be balanced better. But I do like the idea of Carrier Assault, and I think it would be really cool to see this implemented into Battlefront. But my point in all of this is that I think Battlefront can look to these two modes for inspiration and have its own version of these game types. And one thing to mention too was that the Battlefront 3 game that was actually being developed I'm pretty sure it had a mode where you could actually start battling on the ground and then get in a ship obviously, and then go into space. The PSP Battlefront game actually had something like this, which was pretty interesting. So I don't think it's really that unrealistic to have something similar to that in the Battlefront game that we all play now. I really think it's something that could be implemented in the new DLC. And I think that being able to start in a starfighter, maybe destroy objectives from the fighter, and then land inside of the Death Star could be extremely satisfying and entertaining. I think something like this would really give off that Star Wars vibe that I feel so many of Battlefront's modes lack. I mean, Battlefront is a really fun game, but sometimes the game modes just feel like Call of Duty or Battlefield with a Star Wars twist. I mean, it's fun and all, but it just doesn't really feel original all the time. I would like to see game modes that feel like they were taken directly from the movies. Hopefully multi-stage gameplay will be something like this and will not disappoint. So let me know what you think about all this. Maybe multi-stage gameplay will be like this, or maybe it will be something completely irrelevant that no one will even notice. Either way, I hope it will be a great addition to the game, and if you agree or disagree, then make sure to let me know in the comments below. Also, if you enjoyed this video, then make sure to leave a like on this video or dislike this video. If you did not enjoy it, you are free to do whatever you want. And if you have enjoyed the gameplay that you have been seeing, then make sure to click on the links that have been appearing throughout the video to see me playing these matches with my live commentary. Also, make sure to subscribe to my channel to be notified when my latest videos are uploaded, and I will see you all in the next video. Okay, bye guys.